why am I telling you all this and spending 40 minutes telling you this? Because I want you to realize that I wouldn't be able to be giving you a shir tonight if I would never left movies. Movies gave me the strength. I said, wow, I could do TV. TV gave me the strength. I said, wow, I could stop gambling. That gave me the strength. I don't have to read anymore. Books. And I can get rid of the New York Post. And then, wow, I could actually change my music. And now, Baruch Hashem, I'm able to do what I do. How do you do what you do? You answer people's problems. You run Arnava. You run a Teras Nava. You run Beno Chaya. You run a business. You have a family. And you take everybody's, not everybody's calls, but you take a lot of calls during the day. And you meet people. It's impossible. It's impossible. At Wallerstein, you have 40 hours a day. I'm like, no. I gave up everything else. So now I have time to be a Jew. And I have time to daven, and I have time to put on Rabbeinu Tams, and I have time to learn with my Rabbeinu Tams, and I have time to learn afterwards. I can even sit for an hour afterwards, and I'm running a bigger business than most of the guys that are in this room. Much bigger business. And guess what? I have time. You know why? Because I don't go to movies. I don't watch television. I'm not on the internet. I'm not on Facebook. I don't listen to the radio in my car, to the news. I spend 4 minutes a day on the news. Before I go to sleep, I look at CNN. I look at their main titles of what happened during the day. I turn it off. I open my safe or whatever it is, and that's how I go to sleep. 4 minutes a day. I know just as much news as anyone in this room, listening a whole day on your radio, 10-10. Give me 22 minutes and I'll make you nuts. Give me 22 minutes and I'll make you crazy. And you listen over and over and over. And then the real people who have no brains, not from anyone in this room, actually listen to those two Meshugam on 66, the rat and the cat, whatever their names, I don't know what they're called, right? And they're talking about phantom trading. That if you would trade this guy to this guy, these guys are not up to trade. What are you talking about? And everyone's calling in, well, if the Yankees would have Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth, they're dead, right? And Whitey Ford, you think we'd win? Yeah, I think today's team we win. And you have millions of people listening to these two idiots talking about what would have happened, right? You go over the channel and say, what if my mother was a kangaroo? I'd be hopping. Right? What if? And you guys, and everyone listens to it. So, yes, if you do that a whole day, and you listen to talk radio, right, then you're not going to get anything done. All of a sudden, you have no time. And Wallerstein, you want me to learn an hour a night? Guy told me tonight. I told him, I want you to learn an hour tonight. He told me, I have no time. I'm like, huh? He says, I have no time. I said, what are you busy with? He goes, I don't know. I'm just, by the time I'm ready to do anything, it's 11:30 at night. Because he's listening, reading, watching on the internet. So you have no life, you have no time. All of a sudden you're dead at the end of your life and you did nothing. But you know, if you would have traded Mickey Mantle, you know what would have happened. So if you want a life, you got to start getting rid of these things. They don't do anything. I'm not missing. I don't think I'm missing much. Maybe a little bit. I don't think I'm missing too much. And I have time, Baruch Hashem, to learn, to talk to you guys, to handle people's problems, to talk to my kids, to make a living. Because I cut. You know what Michelangelo said? I love what he said. What's his name? Rabbi Olavsky said this. He sculptured one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard in my life. He was a painter. He did the cistern, right? But he's also a sculptor. Michelangelo sculptured an elephant. And they said that the elephant he sculptured so well that people were screaming, there's an elephant in the city. But it was just a sculpture, it wasn't alive. So one guy walked over to him and said, Michelangelo, how are you able to sculpture an elephant that is so real? He says, it's simple. You take a huge rock and you cut away from the rock everything that isn't elephant. And then you have the perfect elephant. So, if you want to be the perfect Jew, you don't have to figure out, well, how do you become the perfect Jew? All you need to do is cut away everything that isn't Jew. Movies are not Jew. DVDs are not Jewish. Facebook is not Jewish. The internet is not Jewish. Magazines and the New York Post, New York Times is not Jewish. Goyish music is not Jewish. All of a sudden, I'm not going to tell you that I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. But I cut away a lot of stuff that wasn't Jewish. Guess what? I got a Chabura. And I got an Or Nava. And I got a Teres Nava. And I got a Beno Chai. And I have Talmidim. I never intended in being a Rebbe. When I got married, there was no Rebbe about me. I was a businessman. My whole thing, me and my friends, our whole thing at 17 years old is we had a pact between us that every one of us, all 5 of us, at the age 30, will be $1 million cash. Liquid. That was my whole thing in life. I'm going to have $1 million at age 30. With a competition between the 5 guys. Not one of us had $1 million at 30, or at 40, or at 50. We're still trying. Now we're trying, okay, maybe 60 it'll be, I don't know. Right? But that was my whole, I wasn't interested in teaching and in Torah. It wasn't my thing. Even when I was his Rebbe, we went to ball games, the Giant games, and whatever. I went to the movies in those days, and Sheep's, or whatever. This is not where I was going. What happened was, I'm only a Rebbe, I'm only Chabura 10 years. Or Nava is 6.5 years old. This is not going on for 30 years. And that all happened after I cut everything else away. So how do you become a Rebbe? You got to cut away from yourself everything that isn't Rebbe. How do you become a Jew and a good Jew? You got to cut away everything that isn't a Jew. And it's hard, because when you start to cut, your friends are like, no, paste that back on. Because they're having a problem doing what you're doing. And you have to realize that you're making a Roshim, and if you stick, if you're strong and you stick, they're going to follow you. They're not going to make fun of you for long. They're actually going to follow you. And every single person has that koyach. And the most important thing is it changes your life. If somebody would have come over to me and said, give up your TV, your movies, your music, I would have said, you are one sick puppy. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I'm not giving up my life. What do you want? I'd rather hang from the George Washington Bridge. What are you telling me? But I did it. And I did it piece by piece. And each piece that you do gives you the energy to do the next.